Well, once again, welcome to episode 11, second from the end. And this episode, to me, is one of the more interesting ones and shows the total abuse of power by TD and the unreasonable costs and expenses they will create, because in the end, it'll not be them who will be paying the added expenses, but the client. And do they care? They don't give a damn. How negligently stupid and incompetent can the TD be? In TD's mind, they suddenly believed that they had a driveway issue at our cottage. It's amazing that they only looked into this issue at the end of July 2015, when they took possession of the property in mid-December 2014. It took them 7.5 months to realize that they might have a problem. Why did the bank not question this when doing their due diligence, when they gave the mortgage to the mortgagor the first time round, or the second time when the mortgage power line was increased? It's real easy. It's only because of the TD's sheer size and the power they yield. They can and will do such things, and worse, seeing they do not have to account to anyone. This incompetence and negligence is acceptable in the eyes of the TD, but to no one else. TD's legal department wrote the following to me. As set out in my email of July 24, 2014, the bank would require your neighbor to agree to amend the legal description of the existing right-of-way to match the physical road currently present at the property, with no conditions or qualifications. Thank you, Litigation Counsel, TD Group. Who the hell does the TD Bank think they are, making these ludicrous demands on an independent third party? The legal department went on to say other necessary work was carried out contemporaneously, including the issuance of a notice of sale and obtaining a survey to confirm the neighbour's claim that access to the right-of-way from the cottage was over a portion of his land that is not included in the registered right-of-way. The survey did confirm the neighbour's claim. The fact that personal belongings were still in the cottage did not preclude the bank from doing this back in the winter or as soon as the snow melted. TD is now working on getting a new driveway constructed to access the property that does not trespass on the neighbour's land. I sincerely hope that before the TD spends my money, which they have been doing thus far with great enjoyment, that they will let me know what they are going to pay to have this done, because I have had 2 contractors in to quote on this job, because I do not need overpriced TD contractors doing this. Fast forward to today, and during the week ended Friday, May the 13th, 2016, once again without contacting me, as requested, which is the norm for TD, TD in its infinite wisdom put in a new driveway. If that was done to code, might be questionable, but once again, who is going to pay for this? Me, unfortunately, without having any say as to why and how. TD will abuse the use of its clients' money, and in the process of doing what they did, they took down at least 10 trees, causing damage to the neighbor, and are also now interfering with his right to privacy. The worst for me is that by TD doing nothing with the property, they are eroding my equity. They have managed to accumulate over 29,500 plus in new interest charges alone, let alone whatever other concocted charges they will muster up because of the delays caused at the hands of TD alone. They don't care, because in the end it'll come out of my pocket, as stated by Mr. X from their legal department in his email to me. Let alone the fact that the property has been neglected over the past 18 months. There are now damages to the property, and the property looks shabby, once again reducing the sale value and contributing to my losses because of the incompetence and negligence of the TD. How does the TD have the nerve to do the following and once again abuse the use of customers' money? TD had used 48,400 kilowatt hours of power in approximately 486 days after 1 year and 4 months since they took over the property. No one is occupying the premises, and as we have told TD repeatedly, the cottage was fully winterized before they took possession of the property. At an average, we used approximately 9,000 kilowatts for a full year when we occupied the property. Costs are building up, but TD does not give a damn. Some costs might be acceptable if TD was showing the property, but they had still not started 486 plus days later. Why was electric heat on at all? TD and their property manager were fully aware that the property had been winterized. They knew that the water had been shut off and all plumbing to the faucets and toilets were disconnected. In fact, TD's property managers covered the sinks and put signs up that the water had been shut off. The TD need to have heat on so that their management team, when they came on very infrequent occasions, would not freeze. Everything else defies common sense. How was TD able to use all this electricity during one of the warmest winters on record? To heat the premises, TD used at least 6 space heaters from what I could see through the windows, but there might have been more. Regarding the use of space heaters, as per the Electric Supply Authority, ESA, and CSA and Hydro One, they state, and I quote, "Safety tips from CSA International for the safe use of cord-connected fan-forced electric space heaters. Temporary use. Electrical portable fan space heaters are designed to provide temporary warmth only. They should never be permanently installed or mounted and should not be operated continuously over extended periods of time. Portable heaters should never be suspended from ceilings or rafters or in any other manner. Extra caution. Use extra caution when operating portable heaters. Do not leave a heater running while unattended or use a heater in a position where it can be easily overturned or fall. Make sure electric stove elements and small appliances are off or unplugged to prevent fires from occurring when their electricity is restored. Unattended use. For water heaters that can't be completely drained, don't rely on space heaters in the pump pit. Unattended space heaters can cause a fire and destroy your property. It's not worth the risk." End quote. As stated, space heaters are not to be used over extended periods. TD has been running them now for approximately 6 months straight and continue to do so until May of this year. Space heaters should also not be used when unattended. This is a fire hazard. However, seeing the TD knows everything better than everyone else, they probably assume that this does not apply to them. As at April the 17th, 2016, with the weather being in the 7 to 15 degree plus range, these heaters were still running. Now for what I consider to be the real kicker, which really shows how little the TD cares about their customers and running up expenses that will eventually be charged to the customers. A reasonable person should be able to assume that once they have written a 15-page document to 12 of the most senior executives at TD, not only once, about the blatant abuse of the use of electricity at the property, you would think that the executives would try to delegate a staff member to make sure that the lights, heaters, etc. would be turned off, especially seeing the temperature was well above zero since that letter was written. This letter was written to these TD senior executives on Monday, April 18th, 2016. Once again, as is par for the course, these executives did not have the courtesy to respond, nor did they do anything about my complaints. On June the 12th and 13th, 2016, the meter was read again and had gone all the way around, now reading at 216 kilowatt hours. Started originally when they took over somewhere around the 45,000 mark. That means that virtually from the time I wrote to these senior executives until June 13th, 2016, another 5,945 kilowatts were used in about 56 days. And this was used in spring when the weather was well above the freezing point. Considering that in the past we used 9,000 kilowatts in a full year when the place was occupied, how did the TD manage to use 5,945 kilowatts in 56 days when the property was completely empty? That is almost approximately 66% of our annual usage. The TD has now managed to use approximately 53,787 kilowatt from December 15, 2014 to June 13, 2016 in 1 year and 6 months. If that is not negligent abuse of power by the powers that be at TD, I do not know what would constitute negligent abuse. They used roughly 400% more with the property unoccupied than we used with the property occupied. On Tuesday, October the 20th, 2015, I wrote to the legal department for a second time that their management team had once again left the lights on at the property since October the 2nd. I wrote, I just want to inform you that at last Sunday, the 18th of October, 16 days later, these same lights were still on. I'm not sure if these lights will ever be turned off or if they will finally burn out due to the ongoing negligence of the TD, as happened with the furnace, because TD ran the furnace without any propane being connected to it, and it is now no longer operational. How long will the lights, etc. be on before TD will do anything about it? Some fans were still on. I have no idea why. And this winter we also had ice build up on the roof that we have never had before because of heat loss. As at June the 13th, 2016, some lights were still on in the cottage, and I assume some finally burnt out after being on for approximately 8.5 months. As stated above, 2 meter readings were taken, one on the 12th and one on the 13th of June, and in less than 24 hours, another 36 kilowatt hours were used. I have absolutely no idea what the TD is insisting on keeping on so that they can go through this amount of power at my cost. Many pictures were taken of lights, heaters and fans on, and the second real kicker was that at May 14th, 2016, the lights and fans were still on, some 7.5 months later. I have no doubt, once again, that the TD considers this to be proper, but only in the eyes of TD. Once again, TD in their infinite wisdom decided that they needed to put railings on 2 steps going into the front of the house. The landing of the steps are only 18 inches high, or 18 inches above the ground, and according to code, steps that are this low from the ground do not need railings. Pictures of this ugly 2x4 structure that the TD put up are available to be seen on day 11 of the TD the Bully website. If you look at the pictures of the railings, you will notice that the rails are parallel to the steps instead of being vertical to them, thus creating a jungle gym for children to climb on, and again creating a dangerous hazard which could cause a person to fall approximately 55 inches instead of 18 inches and really hurt themselves. All the other steps at the same cottage have railings that are perpendicular to the steps, as can be seen again with the pictures on day 11. What TD's representatives have built is illegal and dangerous. I've notified TD of this many months ago, but once again, TD just ignored it. Hopefully TD will learn someday when they are sued after somebody gets hurt. It is mind-boggling how the TD will abuse their power because they know they can and will get away with it. Unfortunately, they're not accountable to anyone but themselves, having locked up all 4 levels of their self-imposed dispute mechanism, which unfortunately is breaking down the very foundation on which our institutions were supposedly built. There are no checks and balances, and seeing they are not being held accountable to anyone, they will build up costs in order to further their own financial gain. And guess what? They don't give a damn, because in the end it'll be the customer paying these costs and not the bank. From some of the links that you'll see on day 11 or episode 11, you'll see further examples of TD's abuse. In one case, a couple says they were shocked when their bank manager told them it would cost $17,000 to end their 5-year fixed mortgage early. By now, most people have heard about the change counting machines that, after NBC News on the Today Show on April the 6th, 2016, exposed TD's little game, TD has now finally taken them out of service. Was this again another way for TD to make a quick buck? We have been using these TD counting machines, change counting machines, for years, and NBC found that they were not accurate. I have to assume that TD knew this because there were just too many of them that NBC found faulty, especially after TD claimed in the video that they checked these machines twice a day. If they were checked twice a day, how could they have been as inaccurate as they were? I would hate to know what we might have lost over the years. And there's probably no way to prove this loss. Just imagine the windfall profits TD might have made because thousands of people trusted TD when using these machines, never believing that TD would shortchange them. How proper is this? The TD in nefarious ways basically steals your money and at the same time cuts approximately 1,600 jobs while the new president and CEO gets a 10% pay hike to bring his overall compensation package to $9 million a year. This does not include bonuses and whatever else these overpaid characters get. It is no wonder that TD can pay these astronomical amounts to senior executives when they do what they do with their customers' money and to their staff. Once again, see the link to this article on day 11 of our website. Once again, do not forget to go to our Twitter and Facebook page by just searching for TD the Bully, and post whatever you feel is relevant to TD Bank. Please like us, share us, repost us, or retweet us. Our tdthebully.com website will also highlight everything I've spoken about today with examples, links, and documents if you want to see what was discussed in this episode. Once again, I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in our final episode, episode 12. Thanks.